1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast sound check. Wednesday show live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It's the Wednesday show. We are live and I am your host, Ian Croll. Joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, we've got Tony Scott. Tony, you okay? How are things?
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to, towards the end of the season, we can say our emotional goodbyes to Goodison Park and look forward to our brand new stadium for next season playing Premier League football. Are you still okay with it now?
Just about, yeah.
Just about,
I mean,
yeah,
when
last time we
Ipswich were 1-0 up against Wolves, I thought to myself, ooh, you know,
you're sleeping well now.
Little ticker was going there.
Yeah.
No. I think the exact mathematics of it now are we need to lose
every game,
and Ipswich. No, sorry, with 6 points, isn't it? The difference. What is it mathematically?
We're 15 points above the relegation.
15 points. So we need 6 more points for mathematical safety, but that's Ipswich have to win every single game.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do that, are they?
They won't win 3 from now to the end of the season.
Although, you know, they had put a tiny little fight up, I guess.
Well, they won.
Well, they won previous to Wolves, didn't they?
Won one game in 10 or something.
Thank God for...
What Leicester won?
Well, thank God for Leicester.
I couldn't believe when I seen that stat that Leicester have lost 8 games on the spin at home without scoring a goal. It's a record in English football history.
I mean, Leicester were 15th, I think, when they sacked Ian Cooper. And then
Steve Cooper,
sorry. And obviously being a monumental drop-off.
Yeah. We were a point above the relegation zone. When
we were below them, I think, when they sacked them.
We were a point above the relegation zone when Sean Dyche left the club. And now it's mind-boggling. And sometimes when you get... I spoke to a lot of Evertonians, but I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Saturday and obviously looking ahead to Forest, but like you can get a little bit nitpicky in terms of the job Moyes has done. But I think if you just take a step back and go, wow, where were we 8-9 weeks ago? Is wow.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Not just the performances, but the points on the board. The points on the board is you wouldn't have dreamt it, to be honest. Because I probably would have thought, listen, this is just a new manager's bounce. We're going to get 1 or 2 wins, a couple of results, but what have we lost now? Is that 1 game in 9? 1 game in 10?
Yeah.
That's doesn't happen in Premier League.
Even after the Villa game, even though I thought we played quite well during that performance, we got beat, obviously.
Yeah.
And with Dyche gone and Moyes being in, there was a panic there after that defeat, because even Moyes, I think, thought this is a huge job.
Oh, yeah.
I think he said himself.
He did. He said he's going to need players. He's going to need players in January. Yeah. And obviously before that new manager, before the transfer deadline came, we got a couple of wins on the board, and I probably thought, hang on, well, I think I could get us over the line here with the players that we've got, and he did, and fair play to him, what he's done, in terms of his little tweaks, O'Brien at right back, Alcaraz in and out.
If I remember, I'm sure we had that debate, can he get Everton over the line with the players that he's got? And I'm sure I said he could, and I'm sure you said he needed players.
I probably did, because it just shows you, doesn't it?
I'm not bragging about it or anything like that. What I will say, it shows how far we've come that we're disappointed with a draw against Arsenal. I know the performance wasn't great, certainly in the first half anyway. But I think a lot of people, I was certainly happy with the point, but there was a few people coming away there going, we didn't even really do enough, but we still came away with the points.
And second best team in the country.
Yeah, and they've just smashed Real Madrid.
Yeah. And yeah, don't get me wrong, they made a couple of changes themselves, but and Everton didn't play that well at all. And it's not just Everton. I've seen a lot of Evertonians like this going, oh, we weren't the best and whatnot, but that's the Premier League in general. I remember speaking to you about 5 or 6 weeks ago. The league's done. The bottom three's done. 90% of the games we're going to be watching on television are going to be drab affairs. The Manchester Derby on the weekend. You're sitting there, you're going,
terrible, wasn't it?
Is this a pre-season friendly? But it's not just Everton. That's Manchester City who are going for Champions League spaces, by the way. And that's United who are going through transitional period themselves. You'd be thinking, like, if you're a Man United player, you'd be going, I want to work my way in the new manager's plans here for next season. But there's none of that there. So 90% of the Premier League games that we're watching on television, not just Everton, the pre-season friendlies.
And City have got a bit of a buffer now because fifth gets Champions League.
Of course, now, yeah, but obviously what happened last night.
Okay, well, how was Aintree, by the way? Any big wins?
Yeah, it was good. From an Everton perspective, seen Peter Beardsley there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was looking well. But yeah, it was good. And it was interesting to come away from the Everton bubble and watch it without no commentary as well. And then obviously get that interaction with Everton supporters. And you go, oh, sometimes when you're looking at the game without commentary, you go, he's done all right there. So it's interesting. That's obviously the first home game I've missed this season. And in terms of watching it live, but I still did watch it live, obviously. And yeah, it was just intriguing to see people's perspectives from a game that you're not live watching yourself. It's interesting, but listen, on the face of it, a point against the second best team in the Premier League. What's that, 1 loss in 10? Lots of positives from this big run we've been on. And food for thought for the manager as well. He's probably thought, as one player worked his way into his plans that he maybe never thought so. But I think we'll probably speak about now. I think there's a lot of players that need to leave the football club in the summer, quite a lot, regardless of what happens in these next remaining 7 games. Because if you're playing in, if you want to get from where we are to the top 8 or 9, where the likes of your Newcastles, your Brightons are, your Fulhams, and obviously that's without speaking about the top 5 where it is, and then you've got Tottenham and Man United themselves. That'll be where we are. Be going, hang on, well, we need to get back there
exactly,
as well.
Yeah.
We need to buy pace. We need to buy power. We need to beef up this squad. We need to add quality additions. We need goal scorers. We need right backs. We need a lot in this summer. And it's not what we've got at the moment. There's going to be big changes in the summer, I presume, with the recruitment.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it'll happen over one transfer window, but we will see. Terry Dactyl says Ian was on oxygen when Ipswich were 1-0 up. Might have been. Could have done with it. Anyway.
And Wolves calmed them down then.
Yeah. All right, well, today's agenda, we're going to cover a range of topics. So obviously a lot of rumour and debate over Goodison's final game and the date for that. Hoping for some sort of announcement on that this week, maybe even today. Fingers crossed, might even get it while we're live, you never know. We'll talk about Yousseff Chermiti, as well as Armando Broja and their futures. Plenty more on the agenda as well. And as always, give this video a thumbs up, drop us a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Plenty of comments already coming in on the stream, so continue with that and I'll read out as many as possible. Just an additional or 2 additional plugs. Don't forget to go and watch and listen to Chris Beasley's interview with Trevor Stephen. The latest episode of Goodison Park, My Home, was out yesterday on YouTube and all audio platforms, so you can go and listen and watch to that now. And don't forget, you can also get your hands on a special edition of the Liverpool Echo newspaper, which is dedicated solely to Goodison Park. So the special souvenir edition, which are basically plugged on Monday, you can still get your hands on it. You can basically relive some of the epic games to have graced the grand old lady and a collection of photographs from the archives featuring stunning Goodison views as well as some behind-the-scenes images. So there's a link in the description for how you can get your hands on that. It can be delivered straight to your door, and I think it's only £3.50 to buy. So yeah, it could be a souvenir. Could be worth a few bob in a couple of years.
Most definitely. Seen some of the pictures in there as well, and it's over the years it's changed. Goodison Park. I remember being at Goodison for the Wimbledon game. Not technically Goodison, but I was in the Stanley Park trees. Okay. And it's mind-blowing to think about this story now, but I went there with my dad for the Wimbledon game when we needed to stay up, and I couldn't get a ticket. My dad normally, he knew guys that had tickets, and obviously with being no park end, there was only 3 sides to the stadium that was open, and he couldn't get a ticket. And I remember like walking down Goodison Road with my dad, and my dad said, "Why don't you go and watch it in the trees in Stanley Park? There's quite a lot of the guys up there." And if you need me, I'll be in the Blue House, which was the... And I went, think about that now. I was 11, 12 then. And to have... It's mind-blowing to think that where we are in this generation, like you wouldn't just leave an 11-year-old in the middle of in 12, 15-foot trees and you go and sit there in a pub. But that's just the way it was then. And there was no mobile phones as well. It was just like bonkers. So my dad went, if you need me, I'll be in the Blue House watching it there. So I went in Stanley Park trees and watched the Everton Wimbledon game there. And I always remember when the game was going on and when Barry Orne scored, and I was fully behind it when he hit it. And next minute, I just felt this shudder from the trees all shake. Yeah. And I just went and flew down. Must have dropped about 20 foot on the floor. Like, wow, what's going on here? And then I always remember an Evertonian like coming down off the trees and at me going, "You okay, mate? You okay, mate?" I just went, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay. And that was it. And then I went down to meet my dad then and seen us win 3-2, and that was it.
So you were 11 at the
I was 11, 12, 94 time, yeah.
So I would have been, because I was born in 86, so what would I have been? Around 7 or 8 I would have been.
Yeah.
I actually was in the Bullens, and to be honest, at the time, you don't really grasp the magnitude of
you
going
don't.
down.
Yeah,
Certainly at that age.
I didn't then when I was 11, 12.
But all I remember from, well, I obviously remember the game. I remember from that day, I used to drink, I was 11. Sorry, I was 8. My auntie used to take me to the game, used to go to the Tramways pub beforehand. And for some reason, I think I've told this story, to be honest, on the podcast, but if I haven't, and if I have, bear with me. Someone noticed that I had red undies on, and obviously Wimbledon played in like a shade of red. And they basically said to me, jokingly, obviously, if we get beat here, I'm going to stand you up on the table and show off that you've got red undies on. So all game...
It always lives with you.
All game, I was just panicking more about me undies being on show in the Tramways pub afterwards. So that was my story, basically, from the game. Yeah. So Everton stayed up, which is obviously, looking back now, is good. But...
And do you know what, Ian? It's these stories that we're all going to be speaking about to our friends and family over the next 5 or 6 weeks, and especially with the 3 remaining games. I'm getting emotional thinking about it now. I'm going to be sitting there going, wow, Ipswich game, City game, obviously Ipswich and Southampton. And I think all Evertonians are like quite dreading that Southampton game. Obviously, we want to know the times and everything of it, but I think the games, I think it's a non-entity, the game, how we get on. We're just going to be sitting there all pouring our eyes out because the ground means so much to us, and the memories are just going to all start flooding back for members of our family or friends who are no longer here. The days and the nights that you've had there, and yet in terms of relative success in the past 25 years, yet there hasn't been much to shout about, but there's been some hell of a nights there where you've walked out of that stadium feeling proud to be an Evertonian.
I think as well, it's certainly starting to hit a lot of people now with the announcements of obviously what date and time it's going to be. Interesting there that you said the game itself and the result probably a non-entity, because I think I asked the question a couple of weeks back, would you rather win the last game at Goodison Park or the first game at Bramley Moor? And the fact that you just said there, the result actually not really going to mean anything. For what would it? So have you changed your mind, or are you still the same?
First game at Bramley Moor. Imagine the first game at the Bramley Moor in August, 53,500. Expectations through the roof, new players, Moyes in the dugout. We've got this fantastic world-class stadium we couldn't have dreamt of on the waterfront. We're all going to be going in there, be a sunny day, new kit on, new players, new expectations, and next minute Everton score and they win. Do you know, imagine the euphoria of coming out, spilling out of the stadium that night, just on that opening day of the season. Sun's out, all going to the pubs and talking about it and I can't wait for it, and I can't wait for it really, just because it'll give this new generation of supporters something a bit of hope and expectation, which we've gladly missed in the past couple of years.
You've literally just said everything that I would suggest. It doesn't matter about the result at Goodison Park, the final game. It's just about the celebration for the fans and Goodison itself. The future is Bramley Moor, and that's where you want to get off to a good start.
I don't know what, we're playing Southampton as well, but you're going to beat them.
We've already been beaten by them twice this season.
Well,
what's the third time?
That was the former manager, wasn't it? But no, I fully expect. And don't forget, there's going to be a lot of players that playing the last game for the football club as well on that day. It could be Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it could be Jessica Guy, it could be Abdoulaye Doucouré, Jasper Lindstrom, Jack Harrison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There's a lot of players. Broja. How many players have we got there that could be playing their final game? Ashley Young. It's quite a lot. And they'll be want to put a show on their last ever game for the football club as well. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to, but a lot to speak about, especially about Goodison Park. I'm kind of dreading it now.
Who's going to get Goodison's
last
goal? Last kick's quite specific. So
I think the last kick is going to be more specific.
Last throw in, last goal kick. Last red card.
I'd love to see Seamus get the last kick. I would. I think that would mean a lot.
To get him on the pitch first.
Yeah, I have to get him on the pitch first. Last goal.
Goal's going to be interesting, isn't it? Jordan Pickford.
I'd love it to be Iliman Ndiaye.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's our star man, isn't he? He's the one that, if you look at the squad that we've got at the moment, you go Jared Branthwaite, Jordan Pickford, and Iliman Ndiaye. They're your three elites. That would probably get him most sides in the Premier League. And then you've got like a next bracket underneath, haven't you? And then you've got the bracket underneath, and then you've got players that will be leaving. So I think you're looking at three elite players that we've got in terms of Jordan Pickford, Jared Branthwaite and Iliman Ndiaye. So I'd probably say Iliman Ndiaye, he's the star factor. And he's the one that the young Evertonians look up to, don't they, in terms of our little star boy that we've got. So yeah, I'd say Iliman Ndiaye is the last goal, but I'd want Seamus to have the last kick.
Well, we'll see what happens. Nice comment here from Mike Winnett. First time watching the channel, really enjoying it, lads. Like this style and convo, top work. So welcome to the channel, Mike. Should we move on to Arsenal? Final words. I know it was Saturday 12:30 kickoff, so it was a couple of days ago. But I think it's important, that perspective, that we played first on Wednesday, second on Saturday, and now we're going to play third on Saturday again with Forest. So this run is a hefty run, certainly in April. We talked about it last week. Can you imagine if Everton actually needed the points to stay up? And can you imagine? I'd probably need more than one tank of oxygen if we were still needing points to stay up. But yeah, sticking with the Arsenal game again, it was not the best. Arsenal clearly looking towards the Real Madrid game, which has paid off dividends for them in hindsight. But like I said, unbeaten against Arsenal this season.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it says a lot for the mentality of the squad as well. When they went 1-0 down again, could have thrown the towel in, not in game, bit of a pre-season feel to it, but they stuck at it as well. I think that's embodies what Moyes has done with the football club so far in terms of building that team spirit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to dish Dice here, but that's one thing he did cement with the team. There was foundations there at the back that they knew how to keep clean sheets, they knew how to grind results out. But what Moyes has done is obviously added a little bit more flair in attacking thirds. I think there were some numbers that we seen on Sky Sports in terms of how quick Everton are in the transition compared to Sean Dyche. So Sean Dyche was all about defending and obviously a little bit slower in terms of hitting teams on the counter, whereas in Everton are a lot quicker on the counter.
Just getting the ball forwards.
Obviously, they're getting it forward, so when they haven't got it, when they do get it, straight away, bang, they're hitting teams on their counter. What the problem is for Everton, they haven't got the quality to make that count at the moment. You've got Jack Harrison, Abdoulaye Doucouré, and the ball's just juggling everywhere. Where you imagine if you've got the likes of quality wingers on the ball and a centre forwards, all of a sudden you're hitting teams for 2 and 3 on the counter attack. So you can quite clearly see where Everton are going to are looking to set up next season. Especially it could be at home, could be away from home. I know West Ham played a little bit like that as well under David Moyes when they obviously had Jared Bowen on the wing, so they're quick in transition like that. So they defend and then bang, bang, bang. And all West Ham had 2 or 3 versus 3 players. So I think that's what Moyes will be looking for. So it's just at the moment we haven't got the quality. And you were quite right in what you're saying, Ian. Everton played the best team in the country on Wednesday night. And then they played the second best team in the country on Saturday morning. You tell me a football club in the Premier League where that's happened to this season. And if they did, there'd be a massive euphoria and a stink about it. Has that just happened to Everton so far this season?
Well, I don't know. It's a good question.
Within a 3-day turnaround, you're playing the best 2 teams in the country.
I know both teams, Liverpool and Everton, wanted the game brought forward, didn't they, to the Tuesday.
Yeah.
Obviously, that request was not granted at all. So I just thought, okay, we've only come away with 1 point. I think just looking at it, we were competitive in both games.
Yeah.
Okay, the second half against Liverpool, we know it wasn't great, but we were undone by, again, a controversial offside decision. I thought the first half we were still the better
I
team.
missed the sitter again.
Certainly more threatening team. I felt that anyway. I know Liverpool were always going to dominate possession. It's interesting that you say about the wingers and then bringing them into the game. I think certainly over the past couple of weeks, some of our better moments have come when we've just bypassed the wingers in a sense of we know Harrison's not great on the ball in terms of creativity. Some of the like the passes have just come from James Tarkowski just straight in the channels onto Beto to score. He hasn't converted every single one of them. We know that. We know there's issues with his his overall quality.
That's just the quality of the midfield. It's not good enough, is it?
It's not.
There's no ball plays there. I've been disappointed in James Garner. I really have. I was hoping to see a lot more from James Garner in the past 2 months, and he can't come away from the season going, I'm being given a run of games in midfield, and he has quite clearly. He's played every game since Mangala's been injured.
He's still probably one of our better players, though, isn't
he?
And
that's a sad indicament of where this squad's at in terms of quality. If he's one of our better ball midfielders, it's just a guy who'll put fires out. Abdoulaye Doucouré, obviously, there's a big question mark over his position and his future at the moment. And then you've got Jack Harrison, Jasper Lindstrom on either wing, and it's not good enough. And Iliman Diaz obviously just coming back into as well as Dwight McNeil. So ideally, I'm pretty much sure Everton will be signing wingers in the summer. I can quite clearly see maybe they may keep Jack Harrison maybe on loan just to beef up the squad. I don't know. I can quite clearly see Jasper Lindstrom going back, Broja going back. There's quite a lot. But I'm pretty certain that Everton will be looking to bring numbers in terms of an attacking force because you can quite clearly see where they want to play, but the quality's not there. And I think if you look at David Moyes from his perspective, you're going, hang on, I've just been to Anfield, went toe-to-toe with Liverpool at home, 2-2. Went toe-to-toe with them at Anfield. First half, probably the better side. Had the best chance of the game, missed a one-on-one Beto. And obviously Liverpool are going to come into a second half with the quality they've got. But and then he's gone to Arsenal, he's played Arsenal. So from his perspective, going, I know to set up teams against the quality.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the quality. Look at the quality I'm up against. We're fighting against the two best teams in the country.
It's a night and day setup, isn't it, compared to what Dyche would set up against like a Liverpool, compared to what Moyes is setting up. Yet we do sit back still. But in terms of how we would counter that with an attack,
the intensity
it's completely
is different.
isn't
the
it?
intensity is a lot different.
Interestingly, though, do you think we always used to say, well, Calvert-Lewin is pivotal to how Dyche wants to play, and I don't think anyone could argue with that. I think after a certain period of time, it started to get a little bit old, and I think you could see Calvert-Lewin was frustrated himself.
He hates playing that way.
In a way, Calvert-Lewin getting injured and bringing Beto on, it's probably helped Moyes a little bit. Do you think Calvert-Lewin could play how we want to play now?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think? Play off the shoulder of the last defender?
Because don't forget, Calvert-Lewin's been shoehorned into this position down to the manager in the past 2.5 years. Okay. Just oof the ball. Don't forget, did we see that from Carlo Ancelotti when Dominic Calvert-Lewin was there? He was just sitting in the box.
I think the approach from Ancelotti, though, was get the balls in the box from the wingers and just keep Calvert-Lewin within the 6-yard box, wasn't it?
And don't forget, Dominic Calvert-Lewin had Luca Dean and Ross Barkley and all these players in behind him at the time. Richarlison, Anthony Gordon, and James Rodriguez.
That's not how we play now, though, is it?
It isn't. So what I'm trying to say is that imagine if we get quality players in, and at the moment, say for argument's sake, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's fit next week, I'm sure he won't have, David Moyes will not have Dominic Calvert-Lewin playing exactly the same way as he's with Sean. He's got run the corners. Calvert-Lewin is one of the fastest players in the Premier League, but he's been shoehorned into a position to help the style of play that suits Sean Dyche, grind results out. That you quite clearly see that. Balls up to the top, hold the ball up, try and win a foul, get your free kicks. That's all it's been the past 2 years. Now you can, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin was fit, you'd see it totally. Don't get me wrong, you play the odd ball up and try and hold it up like we do to Beto, but then you'd say to Dom, come on, run your channels, you're fast, you're lightning. Let's test it, and then all of a sudden your wingers can support.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to back up what you're saying there with another appearance, because it looks like he's not going to sign a new contract, and he was linked with Spurs in the week. So, and with his injury, he's not going to get a game, is he?
No, he's not at all.
He might even be fourth in the pecking order.
Probably take a nice big pay salary somewhere, nice signing on fee, and look to move somewhere else. And that could be it. And it only strengthens David Moyes' arm in the transfer market in terms of getting centre forwards in, because if got one player goes back on loan to Chelsea in Broja, one player's contract's finished, that leaves us with Beto and Chermiti, quite clearly. Beto's not good enough. I've said it weeks ago, and everyone said like, oh, he scores 3 or 4 3 or 4 goals, and I said, oh yeah, he's the man, and he's not the man. He's nowhere near the man. He's a half decent squad player at best.
Beto.
Yeah, at best.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays though.
Mainly due to he'd probably want reinforcements in better positions. He'd probably want wingers. He'd probably want centre midfielders. So he'd probably deal his priorities. So he'd probably say, do you know what, I'll keep Beto as a squad player, but I need 2 centre forwards, definitely 100%, before he gets in anyway. Okay,
well, before we come on to kind of team selection, and let's face it, we mentioned this on Monday's pod, Moyes definitely has got a selection dilemma. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players, I'd count, that he could play across the 3. So we'll come on to that in a sec. But before we do, there's big rumours and a lot of frustration that this Goodison's final game, I know we've touched upon Goodison's final game, but in terms of the date, that Goodison's final game hasn't been announced. What's your thoughts on it, why it hasn't? Because, they don't necessarily have to announce it exactly on the date that they say, but I think it should have been announced on the 4th of April. That was like the indicator that we were given. It's obviously gone past that deadline now. So hopefully we're looking at it today, or at least this week, before the end of the week. Do you think, that Everton had jumped the gun slightly with regards to requesting that the final home game be played as the second to last game of the season? And what I mean by that is, no one could have envisaged that Liverpool were going to win the league, hence maybe potentially lift the trophy on the final day, which is probably what they're going to do if it's confirmed, because they've got the Anfield as the final game. Even if, say, back then, Everton officials thought, well, Arsenal or City are going to win the league. So what if Goodison's final game was the final day, and there wasn't as much of a big hoo-ha around it? It's not for anyone else. It's for Everton fans itself. I'll be quite honest with you. I'm blunt. No disrespect to West Ham, but I didn't really care, me personally, when West Ham left their ground.
Didn't you watch it?
I didn't. I wasn't really bothered.
I watched it.
It's well, that's fair enough. That's what I mean is, this is for Everton fans. The Monday night, although for personal reasons, if anyone who listens to the pod knows I want it to be a Monday night, but that's just for personal reasons. Monday night, 8 o'clock, is a terrible time to have Goodison's final game. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Right, I understand what you're saying, but I think you're missing the whole bigger concept about it. Goodison Park deserves the farewell to it, deserves its own identity away from everything. Deserves. So think about it, on the last game of the season, if Everton was to have that last home game of the season against Southampton and Liverpool will win the Premier League, all media, all the spotlight, all the pages, all your social media, it's all going to be on Liverpool win the Premier League. Well, Goodison Park will be forgotten about. It'll be like, that's just 40,000 Everton fans. What you've got to remember here is that it's just not for the 38,000 inside Goodison.
Liverpool, sorry to interrupt, but Liverpool would have lifted the trophy the week before if they'd already confirmed, because you can't have Anfield and Goodison on the same day. So Liverpool's home game would have been the second to last. But
they're still going to be. They're still going to get the spotlight on them. They're going to be Premier League champions.
It doesn't bother me.
But it doesn't bother you. But it bothers a lot of Evertonians that won't see Goodison Park. So what I'm trying to say is that because Everton have requested the final day Goodison to be the penultimate day of the season, so Evertonians from all over the world will get to see Goodison in all its glory. So it wouldn't have the 1 hour build up. It may now have the 2 hour and 3 hour build up because it's Goodison. So all them Evertonians all around the world that aren't lucky enough to get to Goodison against Southampton will see Sky Sports give it all the build up 2 hours before, see the presentation after it as well. They'll see that as well. So it's not just about the 38,000 Evertonians that are going to be there. It's going to be about all the Evertonians all over the world that'll be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning in Australia, that are going to be tuning into Sky Sports going, right, this is me for the day. I'm going to watch my team say farewell. And it's going to get all the coverage. It's going to get everything. It's going to be on your newspapers, your magazines. It's going to be on your social media. It's going to be everywhere. And that's what it deserves. Goodison, the limelight away from everything else, so no one can distract it. And that's why I was a little bit hoping that they could try and get it on the Saturday after the FA Cup final.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, of course.
I get all that. And taking into consideration of fans who do support the club all around the world is a legitimate point. I'm not trying to discount them whatsoever. But the 8 o'clock kickoff on the Monday is not ideal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
We don't know, that's not confirmed. We don't know, but it's looking potentially that's what it's going to be.
I think, why not? I think all the Premier League kickoffs haven't been announced, have they, on the Sunday?
Nothing's been
all
announced.
down for 2 o'clock. So
all down for 3 o'clock.
All down for 3 o'clock. So I would suggest, if I was Everton, maybe to put the request into the Premier League, can we have, say, for all the Premier League games at 3 o'clock, can we have the 5 o'clock kickoff? Or R5. That would give Everton fans a lot of time to 2 or 3 hours before the game and all that time after it. I think that would be ideal. I think that's a win-win for everyone. I think a lot of Everton fans would go, do you know what? If it was an either Sunday kickoff the same time as everyone else, or a Monday night game, or the Sunday Sunday late afternoon.
Listen, you make some good points and you say the build-up to it, but say if it is the R4 or the 5 o'clock kickoff, you're not going to get much build-up after the 2 o'clock kickoff game, are you?
This is the beauty of having it, the penultimate game of the season, because no one's interested in the other games. Everyone's going to be focused in on Goodison, so your neutral supporter is going to be fixated on Goodison. They're not going to be bothered about Bournemouth playing Crystal Palace at 2 o'clock. No one's interested. The league's done. The bottom 3 teams are done. Liverpool have won the Premier League. And I'll tell you what, by the time that in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, the Champions League places will be done as well. So everyone's just going to be fixated, and that's the beauty of it. Your neutral supporter, that doesn't, obviously even in the Championship, but they're going to be, wow, I want to watch Goodison. I want to see farewell to one of the greatest stadiums this country's got. And that's what it'll be, it's just solely fixed it. So that's why the beauty of it, after their games, everyone's going to be watching the R4 game at Goodison, the final farewell.
I might be wrong. Let us know in the comments what you think. I think if you ask the majority of opposition fans, they genuinely wouldn't be bothered about Everton.
I think you'd be surprised. I remember watching West Ham. I remember watching the Goodbye to Highbury as well. I remember watching that. I think
maybe you're more of a football purist than me.
No, I think there's a lot of neutral supporters. That'll be I remember Upton Park, where I'd say the games. Arsenal played Wigan, if I remember rightly, on their final game, and West Ham played Manchester United in a midweek, their final game. And there'd be a lot of neutral supporters that will want to see one of the great traditional football stadiums this country's seen, and want to see the last game there.
Terry Dactyle says other fans don't care about Everton leaving. That's just another person's comment. For me, I just think priority should be taken into account for fans who are going to go to the game. And you know for a fact that there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of fans outside Goodison Park just wanting to take in the atmosphere, the build-up, etc. Maybe, on the lookout for a ticket if they can get their hands on one. I just think the priority should be given to fans. For me, this is my personal thing. You want to kind of make a day of it. Before, after. Again, there's obviously there's talk about Everton have applied for this special licence, and there's a lot of rumour and talk about what that means. Is that, if that's a Monday night?
It's selling alcohol, isn't it, after 11:30 before playing music and alcohol at 11:30. So
that would indicate, though, for me that it's pointing towards a Monday night because it's a later.
And what you've got to look at as well, the viewing figures as well. That's what the TV companies go, right, what's going to get us the biggest attention? Now, from a Sky Sports and perspective, and from a selfish perspective, you'd probably be thinking, hang on, there's no games on Monday whatsoever. None. How many people are going to be talking about this on Monday night? Everyone's going to be watching it. Whereas not on the Sunday night, as you've just touched on, there's other games happening before it.
I think people are going to be watching it on a Monday night naturally because it's like the prime time. That's why they have Monday night football,
and even more so because it's the last ever game.
No, I'm not disputing that. Yeah. What I'm saying is priority should be given to fans who are going the game. Should be able to enjoy the day more. And, a lot of people are going to be. It's not a bank holiday on that Monday, is it?
No.
A lot of people are going to be in work, rushing to get to where they need to be. For me, again, I'm going to want to maybe even be around Goodison like.
A couple of hours before,
and I don't do that at all. I never do
everyone that. Everyone is gone.
I maybe want to stay around Goodison a couple of hours after.
Yeah,
Monday
of course,
night.
Yeah.
A couple of lock-ins or something like that.
Yeah, they will be. I'm sure they will be. But I even just come back to your original neutral fan. A perfect example of that. I've seen on my social media a lot of Arsenal fans were taking pictures of Goodison on their Instagram at the weekend, going, sorry to see one of the farewells, and they were obviously fixated and obsessed with Goodison in their final farewell. I'm not just an Arsenal fan.
I think Arsenal, just to take a little sidestep there, are a classy club, and they are one of the opposition teams who've come to Goodison and done it right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And quite clearly, they've got fans who don't know any of them, but fans who are football purists, and they know what it's like to leave a historic, special ground.
I know a lot of Manchester City fans that are looking forward to coming to Goodison for the final time as well, because they've kind of played second fiddle to their senior to a team in their city for many, many years, and obviously they've gone from Main Road to the Etihad, so they've been in a certain circumstances to us. A lot of City fans I've spoken to in the past week, they can't wait to get to Goodison for the final time to say it's goodbyes as well. I'm sure they'll be taking lots of pictures for their social media as well. So that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of neutral supporters will be tuning in to watch Everton's final fair game against Southampton.
What about a Sunday 7 p.m. slot?
I'd want earlier the better, just because the weather, the temperature, and just...
It could almost be under the lights, though.
No, I said this last time.
Yeah, we did say that,
I want
didn't we?
Tarkowski's goal to be the last game under the lights. That's what I want so much.
That's fair enough. And to be fair, if they had a 2 p.m, 4:30, and then a 7, there wouldn't be maybe the build-up prior, would there? Because they'd still be focusing on the R4. This is on just on the telly.
So I think 5 o'clock kick-off on the Sunday, would that suit everyone? If all the other games are 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
I just wonder what the delay is. Like, again, purely speculation. You know, within the time frame of announcing fixtures, it should have usually been the Friday. Has there been some backlash from people or fans on social media, and they thought, well, we need to have a rethink? I don't know.
Oh, you've also got to put into consideration as well the police. It's a Sunday game, so I gather you'll need a lot more stewards. Need a lot more police than a usual game at Goodison, because there'll be more people turning up.
It's those Sunday time and a half hours, isn't it?
Mr. Rotherham says he can't do it.
Let's not go there, so. Okay, so you're saying 5 p.m. Sunday.
5 p.m. Sunday would be, I think that'd be suit most parties.
I'd be happy with that. Even though it's my daughter's birthday on the Sunday, I'd take it. But if it's the Monday...
What a memorable birthday, by the way.
Yeah.
What a memorable birthday.
She wouldn't think so. She wouldn't think so.
You never know.
If it's the Monday, I'll be semi-happy at the same time. I'll be happy
I thought what I do was like, on Monday night, so Monday night's the one.
Okay, let's move on. We're about 40 minutes in. We've still got quite a few bits to get through. Let's just talk about a couple of individuals. Yousseff Chermiti, want to speak about him. He's been speaking to the club on the club's website and club's media team. Do you know what? I haven't got the quotes in front of me, so I can't read them out. Let me go to my Twitter, actually, because I tweeted them out before. He's basically been talking about how he's put muscle on, trying to improve his fitness. Basically comes up against James Tarkowski every day. He called him, or he described him as a mountain. And he says all Premier League defenders are big and physical, so you need to be ready. I guess he's trying to be avoiding those James Tarkowski tackles in training, hasn't he? Which is, quite good advice, really.
It is, yeah.
What do you think? It's a really tough one to have a solid opinion on, because we've barely seen any of him. Even before he got injured, he wasn't getting in a team because he was probably not experienced or maybe good enough. People thought this might be his breakout season. He gets injured for the vast majority of it. He's back now. Again, he's talking about his fitness. I've seen a lot of people saying we should send him out on loan next season. I think it's probably too early to say for that one, to be honest. But what do you make of him?
I think there's obviously I wouldn't say there's a player in there, but he must have something. There's in the glimpses that I've seen him, he's done all right. He surprised me in some patches, and then he hasn't. And some what's going on there looks a bit raw. He vastly needs experience of playing in the Premier League. That may come from, I don't know, if there's a Leeds coming up or a Burnley or a Sheffield United. I think that'll be perfect for him to play Premier League football next season with one of them promoted teams, just to see, hang on, well, you're going to be playing every single week for the promoted side. Let's see how good
in the Premier League.
Yeah,
really? Would you do that?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
No way.
If we're signing 2 centre forwards, 100%.
There's no guarantees that we're going to sign 2 centre forwards.
We'll have to. Broja and Calvert-Lewin are gone.
Can you imagine the uproar if we send them out on loan to, say, a Leeds or a Sheffield United or a Sunderland or whatever who come up and he's banging them in?
So if you're going to send them to the Championship, what are you going to do there? We've sent loads on the Championship, and they've is it Tom Cannon, is it? He went on loan to the Championship. Ella Sims resold it. They're not learning anything from the Championship.
No, but by being in direct involvement with another team in the league.
Do you know what, Ian? I'd probably suggest that we're better than that next season, to be honest.
Yeah.
I understand, obviously, that, but I think, hang on, well, why shouldn't we be able to send a player on loan to Sheffield United? We should be able to. And if he's doing goals, he'll be taking goals against Leeds and other teams at the same token. I'd want to see him if he can adjust to Premier League football. And I don't think because let's put it this way, if Calvert-Lewin goes, which looks like he's going, and Broja goes back, we need 2 centre-forwards.
Yeah.
So Moyes needs 2 centre-forwards. Chermiti's not going to be one of the answers, and Beto quite clearly isn't. So we need 2 centre-forwards in. So I'd be happy to see Chermiti go out on loan and keep Beto as a third choice striker.
Kevin Kraft said Delap was wanted by everybody in the Premier League. I know you've talked about him.
I was speaking about him about 3 or 4 months ago, and I think it was start of the season as well. I cannot believe any clubs. And what did he go for? 20 million. He's he's the new Harry Kane. He's got everything about him.
Yeah.
He's got everything about him.
You rate him that highly?
He loves a tackle. He can hold the ball up. He can run the channels. He can score goals in a promoted team, in a team that's getting relegated in the Premier League. He's got everything, that lad. He's got everything. And listen, if Everton are one of the teams that are in for him, I'd absolutely be all over it. But I think he'll sign for like a United or somewhere else.
This is the problem. We've talked about it in the past. Probably every one of the top 9 teams, barring Newcastle, depending obviously if Isak goes, but every one of the top 9 teams are looking for a striker. I mean, I read somewhere that Delap has got a £40 million. I think you'd probably get him cheaper. Just depends if the club want to, go for.
We
for
need
that
a
much.
centre forward more than any other position.
Probably right. I don't disagree.
Any other position. That's
if you're coming to Everton to be the main centre forward and you don't get injured, you're pretty much playing every week, aren't you?
Oh, you're playing every week. You're scoring goals, you're playing every week. Whereas if you were to sign for a top club, and what I mean by top club is like a Champions League club, are you going to be playing week in, week out? We've seen John Duran. He had to leave to go to, obviously, to Saudi. He couldn't get a game on the quality he's got. He was sold because Ollie Watkins was keeping out the side. So Everton needs a centre forward, and if they have to break the bank to get Delap, but I'm sure there'll be loads of... And this is where I've always boiled down to recruitment. We should have been in there when Ipswich were in there signing for 20 million. And instead we were signing Beto's, the Wales, and that's where...
How long has he been at Ipswich then?
I think he's just... It's this season. He was on loan... I'm sure he's on loan at Preston. He was loaning for a couple of clubs in the Championship, and that's where he learned his trade. And now Ipswich said, you know what, we'll have a bit of him. And signs him for 20 million. And look now what he's become. He'll be signing for a top Premier League club. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's Everton.
Daniel Reel believes we don't need 2 centre forwards. No one carries 4 senior strikers. What do you think of that?
Liverpool have got 6, haven't they? They've all got 3 across. Arsenal got 3. They've got like 4 or 5 injured at the moment. They have Trossard, they have Jesus, they have Saka, they have Martinelli, they have Havertz. All the top teams play with 3 or 4 now. Tottenham, Kulusevski, Son, Richarlison, Solanke. They all have 3 or 4, right, that can play right across, either playing the right side or left side or the forwards. They've all got them. Forest are flying at the moment. They've got Chris Wood and Wanmi as well. They've all got. And this is where that's why we found ourselves struggling.
Some of those are forward, obviously thinking players rather than out-and-out strikers, though, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what I want. I want us to sign definitely 100% striker and maybe a player who can play across the 3. That's ideally, but all the top sides, you look at, you can only have to go down to, Isak comes off, Callum Wilson comes on, Anthony Gordon can play up there. Honestly, they've got lots, and this is where a lot of clubs in the Premier League have got attacking talent in abundance, in 3, 4. Liverpool run the league this season because they've got that much attacking threat. So if Salah's having a bad game, someone else is going to step up, and that's the way they do it every single week.
I mean, in terms of the short term, obviously he needs to stay fit. Physically, he's obviously put muscle on, because I think at the time we all thought he was a bit too maybe light on his feet.
Yeah.
So obviously they're addressing these issues.
Get yourself in the gym, lad. That's been the words, hasn't it?
Well, obviously that's what he's done, isn't it? I think we just maybe need to see him a little bit more, towards the end of the season. He clearly needs minutes, and Moyes has got options now. I know Beto seems to be getting the nod still right now, but I think it's almost the point of maybe wrapping them up, and I'm including Broja in this, in cotton wool a little bit. Broja obviously came on ahead of Chermiti on Saturday. I think a lot of people got a bit annoyed at Moyes' substitution. I was like, why aren't you bringing Chermiti on? We want to see him more. But the fact that he probably knows Chermiti's going to at least be there till the summer, and probably more likely to be in Moyes' plans next season.
Possibly, yeah.
He probably thought, well, I need to see more of Broja in a match environment.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
Because it's kind of like, well, are we going to spend this, 20, 30 million on him? At the moment, it's an absolute no. You might go for another loan option, but again, it's another striker who doesn't stay fit.
I think you're going to see this from now till we've got 7 games left. I think you're going to see quite a lot of random substitutions like that.
Experimental.
Yeah, because we're up.
I don't think it was necessarily random. I just thought who's in the pecking order.
Yeah, once that players got fans are going, why is he bringing him? And why is he doing that? You're going to see quite a lot of that because this is now the time for David Moyes, Leighton Baines, Billy McKinnon, Alan Everett, all them now, and obviously the backroom stuff go, right, let's see what he's about there in that position. Yeah. Can he earn a place? Can he earn a contract? And all this thing you're going to see, like, honestly, there'll be lots of substitutions happen over the next 7 games where you go, hang on, I don't see that. But I'm sure David Moyes will give his reason for that in the press conference going, I wanted to see Alcaraz playing in the right side if he could do a job for me for next season. I wanted to see him playing a number 10, so to speak. So, yeah, I think you're going to see quite a lot of interesting changes over the next 7 games.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to, we discussed this on Monday, but what is the priority for the remainder of the season? Is it to accumulate as many points as possible, which you obviously want to do?
Prize money, yeah.
But is it actually just to, try out a couple of the players, the untested players over the next couple of weeks and see if they can give themselves a shout for a future, at the club? I think there's a fine balance to it because you don't want to go out for the remainder of the season. I'm not saying we should throw games away, that's not the case, but you don't want to be losing every single one either. No. You certainly don't want to be drawing every single one. You do want to be winning. So it is about testing these players over the next couple of weeks and seeing what effort they can put in. I guess question is then with Broja and Chermiti, we just haven't seen enough of them to the side.
No. Broja he goes back. He's talented centre forwards, but his body can't cope with Premier League football. You'd
think Chelsea would want to get rid as well with the amount of forward attacking options they've got. So their negotiation,
But you wouldn't be keeping him, would you?
Certainly not for the money. I'm saying it could feasibly be another loan option on better terms.
I'll guarantee he's just going to get injured. He's one of these players, Ian, quite clearly talented, but his body can't cope with Premier League football. His body's it's made of Pringles. He's just collapsing all the time. Doesn't matter what injury he is. He's just one of these injury-prone footballers that his body breaks down with the intensity of playing Premier League football. It's no coincidence. Since he's been in the Premier League all that time, at Southampton, Chelsea, Fulham, now Everton, he's breaking down a lot. His body can't cope with Premier League football.
Interestingly enough, his last injury came in FA Cup football against Peterborough.
And we signed him injured. He's got here injured, and now is he fit? Is he 100% fit? I don't think he's ever going to be 100% fit, to be honest.
No. Obviously, again, we've had quotes from Broja himself. He's been speaking to Everton media, and he's obviously given the old motivational speak. He's basically said there's going to be moments where the goals are going to come, assists are going to come, and I'm going to play way better for sure. Sign him up.
Yeah, looks great on paper, that, doesn't it? But I've yet to see it.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we're going to do a little preview of Forest. We will be back on Friday to give you an in-depth look at Forest. But did you watch them against Villa? I thought they were. I know they got beat, but second half they were flying. They were tremendous. I almost wanted them to score for some reason. I don't know why, but they had about 9 or 10 chances. Which I'll be honest, Tove, if you said that was Beto, you'd be crying it in for. You'd be like, he's terrible. But yeah, I thought they played really well, but they have got a few injury issues. So Chris Wood was out for that, and Tayo Awoniyi.
2 centre forwards.
Yeah, and then Alanga was also substituted off as well against Villa because of an injury. So they've got they could be facing a bit of an injury crisis. So obviously, hopefully, take advantage of that. But yeah, what have you made of Forest on their meteoric rise, I guess?
Well, it's pretty hard. It's easy to forget, isn't it, that they were one of the teams that were struggling with us last season.
It's going to take an almighty drop off for them not to get Champions League.
I hope they do.
Now that fifth gets it.
I hope any team gets it that upsets the apple cart. I was obviously pleased to see Newcastle
not Newcastle
win the league, win the League Cup. I hope Aston Villa win the FA Cup. I hope Arsenal win the Champions League. I want to see all these new teams win stuff. I want to see Everton in the mix next year. I don't want to see the same old faces of Liverpool, Chelsea, City winning everything. It's just boring. And it's nice to see Villa, Forest, all of Bournemouth are up there. I think Bournemouth have got no right to be up there, but they are. And it's pleasing to see that. Again, look what Forest have done. The R word, recruitment. They've got the right manager in, and they've got the recruitment spot on. The likes of your Gibbs Whites, your Chris Woods, your Alangas of the world, the two centre-backs, the centre-back, they've got Mourinho, they've got the full-back in for next to nothing. It's a recruitment. And this is, they probably, again, you look at Newcastle with their recruitment, they probably looked at Everton and what they've done, got right, we'll do the opposite of what Everton have done. Newcastle have got their recruitment spot on in terms of signing Isak and Bruno Gimenez and all these players, very good footballers. That's where we've gone wrong in the past, 5 or 6 years. So it's all about recruitment, and that's what Nottingham Forest have got absolutely spot on. But the right manager in to get the best out of these players as well. And it's going to be interesting to see on the weekend, as Forest, in terms of ball possession, are the lowest in the Premier League. So would they be quite happy for Everton to be on the ball? And would Everton players be quite happy to be on the ball against Forest? It probably doesn't suit the players that we've got in terms of quality when you've got, I don't know, with just a guy and Abdoulaye Doucouré and Jack Harrison. They'll have lots of the ball on Saturday and they'll go, well, what do we do with this? Because they're not, seriously.
What's this?
Exactly, we're not used to this. A, we're not used to it. And B, we just haven't got the quality to create anything anyway.
I think it's playing at counter-attacking football the way Forest do it and the way a number of teams have done over the years. It's a special skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're almost like giving the ball away to a point before...
And well coached to counter.
You draw the team onto you so you can counter. I think Forest obviously have done well, but let's not forget, I know Everton broke the rules for PSR, but they purposely broke the rules and it's benefited them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. But they've got... There's lots of players in that Forest team that you'd have an Everton shirt, wouldn't you? And that's just boils down to recruitment.
Why, just a bit of a random one, nothing's been decided, obviously, of course, other than maybe the league title. Why has the apple cart, been broken a little bit over the past season or two? And what I mean by that is obviously, Liverpool obviously going to be considered the one of the teams who would normally win the league or be up there, even though they've only obviously won it once in so many years. But like obviously Newcastle won the League Cup. They got in the Champions League season before last, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Villa or last season. Teams who necessarily wouldn't usually get into those positions. Newcastle, I mentioned, won the League Cup as well. So
you see Tottenham and United struggling now.
Yeah, obviously Forest now, on the verge of Champions League football. Even Bournemouth were up there to an extent, obviously dropped off a little bit. What would you put that down to? Is it literally just a drop off of Tottenham and United?
No, I think it's football cycles don't last forever.
Unless you're Everton.
No, but I think Everton's will change soon. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a little bit of an optimist, but it can't last forever. It doesn't happen. Look at Manchester United when they winning league after league after league. I went, when's this going to finish? Look where they are now. Look at Manchester City, the drop off they've had this season. They've won the last 4 Premier Leagues, haven't they? Who'd have thought that? The drop off that they've had. Football goes in cycles. Arsenal have won the Premier League since they went to the Emirates. Have they won a trophy since they've gone to the Emirates?
Yeah, they have, yeah.
They haven't won the Premier League, have they?
No, Arsenal won the FA Cup in
So
his
there's
first
been
season.
an enormous drop-off since they've moved to the Emirates. And who'd have thought Chelsea, United and Arsenal, maybe 10 years ago, who'd have thought, now looking at on the Premier League, none of them winning the Premier League this season. Football goes in cycles. Villa were playing Championship football 5 seasons ago. Look where they are now, flying in the FA Cup, flying in the Champions League, flying in the Premier League. Forest were in the Championship themselves a couple of years ago. Look what they've done, got the recruitment spots on. Now they're up there. Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, all these teams were playing Championship football 5-10 years ago. Now they've got the recruitment spot on. And now that's where they are. They deserve to be because football goes in cycles and it all boils down to the R word, and I'll keep on saying it, getting your recruitment absolutely spot on. And it's no coincidence these sides, the likes of Aston Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, they're all getting the recruitment spot on. And the likes of Tottenham and Manchester United and Everton aren't. And that's why we are where they are. and the other teams are flying at the top of the league.
I'm going to start calling you Tony Recruitment Scott.
It is. It's no coincidence, is it? You're getting it absolutely bang on.
Okay, let's just talk about Forest team selection. Again, David Moyes will probably do his press conference Thursday, Friday. So there could be more fitness updates, injury updates as well. However, based on what we've seen from Arsenal in terms of players who were on the pitch, players who were on the bench and came on, for me, he's got some big selection calls across the three behind the striker, because he's got McNeil, Ndai, Decore, Alcaraz, Harrison, Lindstrom, and probably Irabuman, who could all play along the three. So sticking just with Forest, and like let's not worry about next season. What does he do for Forest? Who fits in that three?
I would the three in midfield.
Yeah, so
you say 4-3-3.
Your number 10, and your wingers.
Okay, do you know what? I'd like to see a change of formation. I would.
Do you think he'd do that though?
Maybe, but he's got nothing to lose now, has he? So he may, and this is where we were talking about then random things we're going to be seeing, because I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a different change in terms of a formation change, makes a personnel change totally random, because he wants us to try and see what he's got for next season. So you might go, do you know what, next season I might go 4-3-3 at home, or I might go 4-3-3 away. Let's see what we'd be like. And don't forget, 4-3-3 can easily go to 4-5-1. Quite easy, do you know what I mean? So you can just get your wingers back in there and you've got 5 across the midfield and you leave your centre forwards up top.
No, I just can't see him changing. I don't think he'll disrupt it too much. With that being in mind then, without being too fixed, what do you think he would do if it was just a 3? Ndai stays in, obviously.
Ndai stays in.
I think Harrison's just got to drop out, hasn't he, surely?
When's he fit? So he come on, didn't he, at the weekend?
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so it'll be basically the fitness team will be saying, David, Dwight's got half an hour in him this Saturday. So he doesn't start, does he? So it's probably made his mind up for him. Then you've got a problem where who plays Lindstrom or Harrison. Both of them aren't good enough.
Well, Lindstrom's not even being featured, has he?
Exactly.
I think the question for me, and this is just how I think he'll set up, it's obviously Ndai on the left. I think Decore will probably play as the number 10. And then for me, the big question is whether it's Alcaraz or Harrison. I don't particularly like Alcaraz on the wing, but surely, if you're
I think you might play Decore in a deeper role on Saturday.
I just think if you're going to have competition for places and a player's not playing well, then I know he won the penalty, but he was poor against Arsenal. Harrison, I think it's probably time maybe to give Alcaraz a go. But again, I'm not a fan of Alcaraz on the wing, although he has provided a couple of assists from that area.
Yeah. I think he'll start with pretty much a bland team, but probably what we expect.
Yeah.
But then second half, you'll probably see quite a lot of changes going on. So you'll probably see, do you know what, Premier League, let's sit into the game, let's grow into it, let's keep tight, see how it goes, first half. What you don't want to be doing is going into a game with like 3-4 changes straight away. And I'm probably contradicting myself there in terms of like, I'd like to see a 4-3-3. I don't David Moyes would see that. David Moyes goes, you know what, let's keep to the same balanced side. Let's not make many changes. Let's stay in the game, because the last thing you want to do is like put Alcaraz into a 10 and put someone else on the wing and change about 4 or 5 things. The next minute, it could go well for you, but if it goes the other way, and all of a sudden you're 2-0, 3-0 down, you're chasing the game already. So I think David Moyes would probably want to grow into the game instead of giving it away early doors. So I think he'd keep his same formation, maybe 1 or 2 in terms of personnel changes. And then as the second half's going on, if you're chasing the game off its level, then you go, do you know what? I'll start putting Alcaraz in a 10, I'll put Ndai in a 10, I'll bring Chermiti on and push Irabuman. I think there's a lot of options there for him, but I think he'll probably start with maybe 1 or 2 changes from the Arsenal game.
Interestingly, I don't know whether you agree with this, but a lot of Everton's games, to use the old cliche, have been a game of 2 halves, haven't they? Most recently, where we've either started really well and then faded in the second half, or been like Arsenal, I guess, started poor, weren't able to get into the game, and then got back in the game slightly. It's never really been a consistent run of. I'm trying to think the last time where we really dominated, maybe Leicester, where we were just overall over on top of them. I can't really think of any other game. I
think that's just pretty, not just Everton, it's the Premier League, isn't it? In general, there's not many teams just dominating from the front foot straight away in Premier League football in general. I can't, for the life of me, think of a Premier League game I've watched, that's including Everton, and other games that have been televised, going, hang on, they absolutely... Maybe Newcastle against Leicester at the weekend, but Leicester were poor, weren't they? But I can't think of like two teams that were, say, mid-table or above where you go, they absolutely battered them. So, and even Liverpool, considering they're about to win the league, have they like dominated and blitzed the game? Have they like overpowered a team and beat them 5 and 6s and dominated from the start to finish? I don't think they have, to be honest. And I don't think many teams have. City, United, Arsenal. There's not been Forest, perfect example of that, where they're winning games 2-1s, 1-0s, Villa, Newcastle. There's a lot of teams in the Premier League that they're not at full tilt. And Everton are obviously one of them as well in terms of being at the lower end of the team. So I don't think it's an examination on Everton alone. I think it's just where the Premier League is at the moment. It's pretty much done. It's dusted. And players are, I wouldn't say got one eye on their holidays, but or got the flip-flops on or anything like that. I just think it's just mentally, it's tough to get yourself going again, to play on the front foot, to get the intensity when there's nothing really to play for. There's just prize money to players care. If Everton finish from 15th to 12th, they're not bothered. No. They're not bothered.
Unless they see it in the pay packet.
Exactly. Unless there's a big bonus, of course, at the end of the month, and they go, hang on, there could be a couple of $100,000 in this for you, and that could be the difference. But apart from that, the players would not care one jot if the team finishes from 15th to 8th or anything like that.
Yeah, the Blues says hopefully Lindstrom is fit again, can't bear Harrison anymore. And I think last comments from Peter Collins, interestingly, just on the overall aspect of the club. He says a 3-year plan is needed as we can't do everything in one transfer window. And I think for me, that is probably, that should sum up everything that we can't be too. We've got to be a little bit patient.
100%, and it's not going to happen in one window. We know that because there's going to be a lot of change, and that's just the backroom staff, the recruitment team, how we see ourselves as well as Everton fans. Like, what's our ambition for next season? So, I'm sure and this is going to be interesting in the summer, judging by the play that we sign, what your ambition will be totally different from mine when we go into the Bramley-Moore.
I think you can only really answer that, once recruitment has been
put in place,
confirmed, because we could say now, based on this season, that a top 10 finish would be acceptable. I think even before the start of this season, we were all kind of just saying maybe avoid relegation, certainly not a final game type of scenario, finish like 12th, 13th. I think everyone would have been happy with that. I think we're probably on course for that.
Yeah.
Next season, again, you'd probably say top 10. The dreaded cut run saying always comes out, which is, does me head in. But I just don't think you can't say anything until recruitment is confirmed.
Also, the 3-year plan's probably correct, and I'd like to see the Friedkins, obviously, and I've said this many times on the podcast, that start focusing on the academy. I think what's been forgotten about in the euphoria of the stadium, in terms of the 2 test events, everyone was taking pictures and whatnot. Obviously, I was looking as a close eye on the under 21s and under 18s, and I was like hoping for 1 or 2 I was going, and a lot of Evertonians were like, when I was speaking to about them, going, I was hoping to see 1 or 2 of them stand out. I'm not saying that the bad players, far from it, but I was hoping to see maybe an Anthony Gordon, maybe, I'm not saying a Wayne Rooney, for example, or waiting to see a Ross Barkley or Anthony Gordon, or Jack Rodwell, for example, or Tony Hibbert. Like, all these players, I was hoping to see 1 or 2 of them in the flesh, and sadly, I didn't see it. And I look at other Premier League teams and what they're bringing through their academy and going, wow. In the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, even United, Chelsea, for example, all these, that's the top elite teams. And even the teams in and around us, the likes of the Crystal Palace of the world and all these other teams, the academy players that they're bringing through, and we're not. And it's like, it's hurt me so much because of the academy that we've grew up on. It's and it's hopefully it's a big thing that the Friedkins are focusing on the next 18 months, 2 years.
Okay, well, we'll finish off just in terms of a timestamp for this. What is it? Wednesday, the 9th, and we're finishing this podcast at around 1:15. As of this moment, we haven't had word on Everton's final game at Goodison Park, have we? So if you're listening to this post-live show on the audio platforms, or whether you were just watching on YouTube, I do apologise, but I guess if there's an announcement, look at Tony's checking his notifications. I guess if there is an announcement at some point, today, tomorrow, Friday, we will be doing a pod on it.
Hopefully Saturday, I'd say 5 p.m. kickoff, 6 p.m. kickoff. Ian doesn't want it for personal reasons.
No, you're eternal optimist. Saturday'd be great for me.
Yeah.
I'd have Saturday all day.
Saturday.
It's just not going to happen.
5:30 kick-off Saturday.
Interestingly, the YouTube comment section while we're on live has been infiltrated by a Newcastle fan who's throwing grenades around, but weird. Anyway.
Thought he'd have better things to do.
You would.
Maybe celebrate.
Any final thoughts then, Toe, before we shoot?
No, as I said, it's good talking about the Blues, isn't it, in terms of what we're doing on and off the pitch, and it's all positive talk, isn't it? The stadium, talking obviously tactics, personnel, David Moyes, academy that I've just touched on as well, but I think even just speaking about Goodison now, at the start of the podcast, you start getting a little bit emotional, don't you, talking about it, and then three dead games, and it's mind-boggling to know that we've just got 3 90-minute games left at Goodison. It's can't get my head around it, can you really? I'm just going to be going that ground 3 times and that'll be it. No more, ever again, to watch Everton.
I'm only going twice. I'm missing the City game.
It's even
another child's birthday getting in the way.
It's
not even his birthday on the day. It's his birthday on the Thursday.
You didn't think about these potential fixture list, did you? When you're having these
My wife didn't.
No. Sad planning that.
Hey, we've just had some really nice comments here, and listen, anyone who watches or listens to the show, I appreciate all of the positive feedback. Even if you've got some pointers or negative feedback, just get it over, and we'll obviously try and improve. Because Tony Coffey says, love listening to these two, and Danny Church says, great show lads, well done, and Kevin Murphy says, good pod lads. So I think that's a really positive note to finish on, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that is all for today's show. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Drop us some 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Keep an eye out for the breaking news on Everton's final game at Goodison Park this week. I've been Ian Croll, joined by Tony Scott, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.